Welcome everyone, and welcome to my amazing co-hosts Arthur Callis and Bram LeGroux. Arthur is a financial services entrepreneur, dealer group owner, as well as a financial planner. So a few little feathers in your cap there, Arthur. And Bram LeGroux is a Belgian-born psychologist, but also a sales professional entrepreneur himself. So he also helps professionals become the best sales professionals they can. And I am Kylie Denton. I'm the owner and director of Performance Advisory Group, and I work with senior leaders and their teams, developing leadership skills, develop people skills, as well as sales professionals as well. So today I thought it was really good time to have a little bit of a chat about, are you planning yourself? You know, as planners, and even as entrepreneurs or business owners, we are constantly go, go, go all year, aren't we? And I think at the end of the year, it's really important to stop, take stock of where you are, what worked well last year, you know, what didn't, and then start to plan the future, plan the new financial year. So I'd love to pass it over to you, Bram, because I know this is something that you're passionate about, as well as making sure that they're planning for the future. So maybe share with us your thoughts on this subject.
Appreciate that, Kylie. And yes, it's that beautiful time of the year again, I find, in Australia, you know, coming from overseas. You know, you got the calendar year where most people over there actually work with, and here we got this sort of midpoint. So we got actually 2 times the end of the year here. But I think the first thing that really I see, especially when I speak to financial planners in the industry, it's been a very turbulent time, a very challenging time, a very demanding time. And I think that a lot of people really, whether they know it or not, whether they realize it or not, have really fallen into more of a reactive mode. And so my first thing really is, as we're coming out through this end of the financial year, moving into a new one, it's probably a good time to just take stock and just breathe in again and go back into a proactive space where you really are gathering everything you have to gather, reflect and take your learning lessons from the year, and then put your things in place for the next thing, whatever the next thing will look like. And again, a reactive frame of mind, the first signs pretty much that you will have is when you feel stressed, when you feel drowning, when you feel sometimes a bit aggravated and negative, and you know, all that sort of, if something boiling, you know, if you experience that inside, there's the first signs on the wall that you have gotten into a reactive frame of mind because of the Royal Commission, because of APRA, because of whatever is living in your world. And so then it's about, first of all, use this beautiful thing called phones and schedule some time with yourself and the people that are actually the great minds around you that help you to prepare for a better plan, for a better future. Unless it gets scheduled, it doesn't get done. And then something else will take away from your time. So that would be my first point, and I'm happy to expand on a few others afterwards, but that would be the first one. Make sure you're proactive and carve out time in your diary for you, for your future, for your plan, for your business.
So many things I can touch on there, but I'm going to go to Arthur. Arthur, what are some of the things that you see financial planning practices that really do this well? What are they doing, and how are they doing it?
Yeah, I think, and not only financial planning practices, but more broadly, you know, SME, you know, small business, large business. You draw a line in the sand and say, like, you know, June 30, you know, can be that line. And the key word that you used there, Bram, was, you know, reactive. And so if you had not been proactive around about March, April, you've probably missed the boat to implement things by June 30. So you kind of know where your numbers are going to go. You kind of know where your business is going to end at the end of that period. But I would hope that many of us have commenced already planning for what July looks like in March, April. And we did the same in terms of, you know, and I'll openly share with everyone on the live call and anyone watches this video is, you know, real emphasis on focusing on my own financial planning practice because it's, let's just say for a better word, lost its way a little bit in terms of, you know, its client experience and, you know, resourcing correctly, And that's just a factor of, many businesses that I assist in the dealer group side of things, I was actually neglecting my own. And so it was a matter of just having to bite the bullet and actually understand what does this business need to look like come out July 1, and really got proactive for the last 2 months. We've put on 3, soon to be 4 new members of staff. We've completely re-engineered the process. And the line in the sand not only was the financial year, but the line in the sand was also the new requirements we have moving on from July 1, which is, to describe it simply, an enhanced level of being able to demonstrate value to your clients and meeting the legislator's requirements around documentation of the value exchange and service experience moving forward. And so we resegment the client base. So couldn't agree with you more, Bram. It's you've got this looming June 30 date, and how to plan for the next year, and being proactive, sooner than later is the key. So that's what we've gone through. The other thing as well, I think I'll add to that would be is, for businesses that aren't financial planners, work with your accountant or a financial planner to actually understand what advantages you've got. Immediate tax write-off on assets, et cetera, has been extended. All these little improvements that you can make to your business model to help with, cash flow and the balance sheet is available. And just doing the research to understand that more will actually help you, in the new year moving forward as well. So that's probably my input. And lastly, I think I might want to touch on, if you have time, is just how to deploy, a complete re-engineering process successfully. I think that's being proactive rather than reactive, which might be what I would term process improvement. So I'll term process improvement as little subtle changes to an existing one that might make subtle changes to the result, versus complete re-engineering of the process, which is wiping the board clean, starting again, being proactive to really alter the dial from a certain point onwards. So that's something, for a time, I'd like to touch on that.
Yeah, I agree. I love that, Arthur. I'm going to take it up a level though, okay? I'm going to take it up from a holistic perspective, because I think it's important that as business owners, we look at our business, what worked well, what didn't work well, what months were great months, was this different, or are we seeing sort of a trend, where can we become more efficient? But I think as business owners, and you touched on it, Bram, as well, is when we're a business owner, we actually need to look at everything holistically. And I work with a group of entrepreneurs where we meet on a monthly basis. And prior to the end of financial year, we all meet as a group virtually now, which is great because we've been able to expand it. But we use this thing called the Wheel of Life, okay? And it looks at where are we in relation to our wealth. So how is our business going from a wealth perspective? The next thing we look at is how are we going from a family perspective? Are we making sure that we've got the time that we want to invest in our family and are investing in our family? The next part is, are we contributing to society? So one of the biggest things that I love that I do in my business is we give one. Every time someone joins a program, we give back to the community. The next part is self. So how are you managing yourself? Are you where you need to be health-wise from your self perspective? Another part is experiences. And then we also have love and passion. So are we getting what we need from that part of it? And it just makes me think every single year when I do it that business is not just running a business, it's actually running your world. And I like to cover off on all of those parts of it, because I can't be good in one if I'm not good in the other, or I'm begging and stealing from one or the other. So I think as business owners at this time of the year, it's important to look at business, but I think it's important to look at the wheel of life and making sure that all of those little bits work right.
Yeah,
and
definitely seen that framework, similar framework in the company directors course, and I think there's similar frameworks and very, very rightly so around being a socially responsible enterprise.
Yeah.
Correct. Taking stock on that. And really, that's really designed to, help you, I guess, build the culture or, ensure that you're tapping into more broader themes other than just financial. I think that's excellent, Kylie. Well done.
Yeah. I liken it a little bit to, running a business where we've got these constant juggles of plates, aren't we? And I think what we need to do is we need to move some up, some down in order for us to have that balance. Because I don't know, there's no work-life balance for me at times. I think it's a constant juggle. And I liken this wheel of life to that, to making sure that I'm moving those plates when they need me most.
You know what? I like that. And I fully agree with you that the balance is not always easy to balance, which is why I like a little sort of introduce a little concept. I use it for coffee and I use it for time. And I use the idea of budgets. And of course, as financial planners, everybody knows what budgets mean. But the thing is, if you use, again, your wheel of life, you could say that you've got a budget of time and energy to invest in each one of those buckets, each one of those areas of life. And they're a budget. And it doesn't mean that at every point in time, you need the same amount of budget in every sort of bucket. So you can basically say, well, if I have, let's say, my 100% or my $100 budget or my, whatever it is, how you want to quantify it, how are you going to attribute it? I know that, for example, Arthur has been stuck in Melbourne and hasn't seen his family. So I imagine that time bucket for family right now has kind of taking a bit of a back burner. But as soon as, of course, borders open up and you can reunite, I imagine that a lot of your time will go in there because you then can again. So the idea
just
of
redeployment of your capacity. Yeah.
Right?
I was just saying redeployment of that capacity.
That's right.
Yeah.
And just give it a number. Like I'll give you an example. Like if I look at my weeks, I have one day for BD. I have one day for study and actually strategizing and creating, right? That's my Fridays. I have 3 days then to do client delivery, but I also have my scheduled time to pick up my son and have spent time with him straight after school. So at 3 o'clock, I leave the office and I'm on my way there. So therefore, I'm spending budgets, which is carved out in my diary. To invest in the things, the people, the relationships, and the business growth opportunities that I see that are important to me. And therefore, I feel most of the time pretty proactive.
Yeah. We term it filling the space in our business. And so every role that touches another role or is, I guess, responsible for, like for instance, booking an appointment or doing a piece of work for an advisor. If you don't give the supporting personnel a task or a target, a KPI on filling the space of the person that they're supporting, then what you can be, subject to is a lack of, or poor utilization across your business. So, we've just basically, for instance, we have an appointment setter in our business. So, the planner's diaries, these are the slots that are available. You have to fill 5 of those a week, 2 weeks in advance.
Right.
So you got to fill the space. That's it. So, and then by starting it that way, the continuing with terms of the advice process, everyone's filling a space to make sure that there's a certain capacity of that particular flow. But yeah, good points.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to add 2 more things, and I'm going to expand on the one that you touched on, Bram, because we always think alike with this sort of stuff. But planning is critical. And I know so many people say to me, I'm so busy, I don't get time to plan. Okay. If you don't plan, okay, it'll impact. Okay. And not only just your business, but the rest of your life as well. So I think the planning is absolutely critical, carving that time out. Now, often I'm saying, make sure that you plan, not just yourself. It's not just you planning, but it's you planning with your team. Okay. Ask the team what worked. What didn't work? What do we need to improve on? You don't have to have all the answers. So making sure on a monthly basis you're planning. On a quarterly basis, you're planning for a couple of extra hours. Okay? Every 6 months, you're probably doing a half a day out, and every 12 months, you're having that full day out. So I think that planning, it's just got to be put in the diary. I know that if I don't have put times in my diary, people will just wipe me out and it will just be constantly booked up. So planning. The second part I want to just touch on, and then I'll hand it over to you guys for your last couple of tips, is creating habits. So from that wheel of life, out of all of those things that I touched on, what habits do you need to create in order to make sure you're giving your family the time, you the time, your wealth, your contributions, your experiences? What habits are you creating? Because habits are really easy to break, but really hard to create. So what habits do you need to create in order to make 2021 to 2022 successful, starting tomorrow?
Good one. All right. I like this idea of the idea of the wheel of life, the habits, and so on. And I think it's also a good time for partners, not just business partners, not just the leader and the team, but also even you and your partner, as in spouse at home, your life partner, to sit down and do exactly the same thing. So I'll be honest, me and Andrea, we sit down and we look at things together. We're even to the point where we're saying, is there a particular book that we recently read that we feel we both really need to be literally on the same page with, so that we can create a different future that is more meaningful and more purposeful and, more engaging and, richer and the likes. And so one of the things we've done is exactly sit down on the weekend, had our child looked after, and sat down for 2 hours straight to really work on one key thing that we felt would really pivot everything for us. And so that time, that budget of time that you carve out in your diary to be proactive and not just be the only person that knows it all, but actually share again with another significant other, is important too, as part of your planning.
Love it. Love it, Bram. I know an entrepreneur that does just that every 3 months, but they go away for a night. Maybe you could add that in.
But you need a budget for that one. And so
you need to make sure you get the wealth part.
Yeah, so we do the same. It's like the Callis family shareholders meeting. So we get that regular catch up with Leah. So that's been happening for many years now. And so because they're your partner, they're invested interest, and they're part of the structure. But it's also important to get because we're very different. Like, if you disc assessed her, she's a very different, sees the world very differently to what I do. So you're getting a blend of opinion on a certain manner, which is very, very important. Opposites to attract, they say. But filling the space, and making the non-negotiables in your diary. So, I have my personal appointments in my diary. And so when I'm looking at managing my time, important, urgent, important, not urgent, not important, not urgent, things can come into your diary at any time, and managing those items and pushing it out enough so that you're not so heavily burdened with so much activity in the same week, where you then have to compromise on your non-negotiables, right? Which is usually your personal improvement time. Had one particular planner, today reach out to the group and said, because it's a mid-year checkpoint for our CBD. He's like, ever since I put an hour into my diary every Monday to do my CBD, I'm not rushing to meet my deadline. So that's planning, right? So just fill the space, have the non-negotiables, use the diary, use your diary not only for business, but have personal. If you don't want people to see your personal appointments, you can actually hide, that the visibility of that. You can give people delegate access or view-only access, whatever it is. But if it's in your diary, because you're always on this, and this is giving you a reminder to do something, use it.
Time management is energy management.
Exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often will share with leaders the Eisenhower matrix, and you sort of touched on that as well, and it's a great time management tool too. As always, thank you so much for your time. I always love sharing some stories about what we know is working out there with small businesses, plus also within the financial services, but also then sharing some of the stories that we know have helped our clients over the years that we've been in business as well. And also being business owners ourselves, we've learnt a lot, haven't we? We've learnt from our mistakes, and we've learnt from the things that we should do. So I think these tips are perfect for people that are really looking to make 2021 to 2022 a really successful year. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Bram, for your time, and take care, especially with the situation unfolding at the moment with COVID. I hope you get to see your family soon, Arthur, and I hope, Bram, you get to have a holiday. Take care.
Thanks, Kylie. Catch you later, guys.
See you guys. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining. Cheers.